Hello everybody, this is Laura Susan Johnson, and you're listening to Period Pieces. I think this is going to be my then versus now review of the Terminator, the 1984 classic movie. This isn't a fan commentary or a comparison or a butcher slam against Terminator Genishyt or Sega Genishyts or whatever. This is just a regular movie review, then versus now. In 1999 sometime I reviewed the Terminator on the IMDb. I was 29 or 30 years old, and now I'm 46, so it's really been a long time since I first reviewed it on the IMDb. And has my opinion changed? Well, I would only say that my opinion of the original Terminator movie has grown even fonder, or let's just say that I loved it back in 1999 when I reviewed it on the IMDb, and I think I love it more. I loved it when I first saw it on video when I was 14. I think I was either a freshman in high school, or it was the summer between 8th grade and high school. I just remember the very first time seeing it, that it just left a huge impact on me, and that I never could ever say a bad thing about it. Not one single thing about it could I find bad. Today a lot of critics nitpick about dated special effects, or dated music, or dated hairstyles, or dated this or dated that, and to me, I think it's the perfect example of an 80s period piece. It's not a futuristic period piece to me, although there is a storyline, a parallel storyline that is set in the future after a, nuclear apocalypse takes place. And that is the dreaded thing to me. As I have said before, aside from being alone with a sadistic serial killer, my worst fear as a human being is nuclear war. And the movie affords you, even more than Terminator 2 Judgment Day, I mean, as powerful as that scene is where Sarah Connor has a nightmare about a bomb being deployed at basically right in downtown LA. As powerful as that scene is, you do only see one scene of Terminators stepping on the skulls and breaking them and shooting at humans, and basically demonstrating that they were the dominant, they're at the top of the food chain, so to speak. And anyway, I found the future war scenes in Terminator 1 so compelling. It really told me what a miserable and hellish and hopeless situation it was. People were living in underground bunkers. The children all looked very sad. You didn't see much smiling. You saw no smiling in the future. One critic pissed me off when he said that when that one female soldier revealed her face, it looked like she had perfect makeup on. I didn't see that. I imagine this reviewer or this critic thought he saw eyeliner. I imagine she had very thick eyelashes, or maybe she did have some eyeliner on. Some people have eyeliner tattooed. But other than that, her face looked very plain and very dirty, smudgy, grimy, just like the rest of the soldiers. And as Kyle Reese said, the women were just as good fighters as the men were. And the women were soldiers alongside the men, as was said in the novelization of the film. I went ahead and listened to the novelization being read online the other day. Again, I just listened to it from beginning to end, and it's really a great rendering of a written form of a movie. It's really great. The depictions of the future war were very just so bleak and depressing, and I know everybody has opinions and they have a right to their opinions, but I just thought that one scene where Sarah wants to go confront Cyberdyne and pretty much prevent the war before it ever happens, they cut that out so that they could apply that plot to the next movie, Judgment Day, which is fine, but it would have been nice to leave the scene in so that you could feel the just how broken Kyle Reese was. He grew up never seeing grass, never seeing flowers, never seeing a stream or a waterfall, never seeing trees. It was nothing but a broken, charred ash, soot, smudgy, grimy, greasy, just like a burnt area that could never regenerate life. Again, I have never seen the movie Threads, which was released in the exact same year as the Terminator, 1984. Threads gives a very devastating, very horrifying look at the results of a nuclear bomb in England. And it spreads over 15 years. I mean, the damage that is done after a nuclear device is deployed. I mean, the first terrifying symptom that we're under attack by a nuclear war is the electromagnetic pulse in our atmosphere. If your TV suddenly goes out, if your telephone suddenly goes out, if your computer and your cell phone and if you're on the highway and your car suddenly dies and everybody's cars are dying at once. This was depicted in The Day After, which was released in '83. It's a frightening, frightening situation. The whole world suddenly ceases to function. All of your appliances and your devices and your electronics, they all cease to function. That's the first symptom. And then you suddenly see this. If you're unlucky, you have your retinas burned out till you're blind and you never see again. If you're unlucky, you just see this extremely bright light. You know, you get a glimpse of it. That's a lucky scenario for you. If you're within a specified distance of the ground zero, you're incinerated within seconds, minutes, whatever. Just like that nightmare scene in T2. I mean, it's a horrifying, well done scene. And The Day After showed horrifying scenes, and Threads showed horrifying scenes. But as I said before, I've never seen Threads all the way through because, quite frankly, I don't know if I could take that one. Threads is probably one of the scariest movies ever made. It ranks, as far as The Exorcist is concerned, for being a paranormal, supernatural thriller, religious thriller, whatever. Threads is probably ranks right there with it as far as nuclear war, political stuff thriller. You know, just as terrifying, but with a different genre. So, as if the electromagnetic pulse and the loss of your electricity and your electronics and your communications with radio, TV, telephone, and the loss of your sewer even. I mean, your sewer will back up. You will lose the ability to use your toilet, and you will have to go poop outside if you're able to get outside. But as if all that wasn't horrible enough, you end up having fallout sickness within hours, and it will last for weeks, probably months. Fallout is, of course, the isotopes, the mutagens, the radiation, the poison, all the things that resulted from, you know, what they called progress when they split the atom and developed the atom bomb. So, Kyle Reese grew up in a world of horror and starvation. His body is covered in burns and scars. When I watched the love scene, I was looking at the close-ups of his hands, arms, back, face. His entire body is covered in scars and burns that have healed poorly. It's very... what horrors? You can only imagine what horrors. Who knows, maybe some of the comic book series talked about them. I've never really read comics of this particular franchise, but untold horror and untold misery, starvation, working as a slave in concentration camps, loading bodies into incinerators, just like the camps during Nazi Germany. And finally being freed by, I think, John Connor, when John Connor finally felt it was time to say, okay, I'm ready now, I feel ready, I feel strong, I'm going to get these people, I'm going to rally them together, I'm going to make them strong, and we're going to fight. Because as Kyle Reese once said, we were that close to going out. There were so few of us left. And the movie Threads said something about if we were to be nuked, the world would be reduced to basically medieval numbers, which means probably very, very few people left. If you aren't, incinerated immediately, you die later on from radiation poisoning, starvation, because there's nothing to eat. There's no animals to eat. There's no food to eat. The soil is contaminated for years upon years from all of the, not only all of the burned out fire, burned up all the nutrients in the soil, but the isotopes and the poisons. And, it's so frightening. Everything about it is so frightening. As far as the movie itself, just getting older and realizing that this movie has never lost its importance to me personally. I mean, it's a wonderful movie it's so well-rounded in every way. you can't really name a specific genre for it. It's a science fiction. It's a clever commentary on technology and how we continually depend on it, increasingly, I suppose. And I'm not against technology. I love cell phones. I love the internet. I love DVR. I love, movies, and I love ebooks. I love stuff, I love that stuff. I'm not saying I'm a hippie and I, live in the woods in a little log cabin with a wood stove. And I only eat, my own homegrown food, and I'm not an angel. I like technology as much as the rest of us. So I've grown very sadly dependent on it. I've been addicted to the internet since 1996 when I first got my, when I first got a computer of my own as an independent adult, living on my own out of college. And so, and it's a horror movie, but, contrary to a lot of the critics out there, it is not a slasher film. It's not like Friday the 13th. It's not like Freddy Krueger. It's not like Halloween, Michael Myers. It's not like that. It is not a slasher film. In the book, there is more gore. The only gore you see in the movie is the Terminator doing self-surgery on his left arm or his right arm because he injures it in a car crash, and he injures his left eye. I don't know. But that's kind of creepy looking, but it's not him, and also you see him in the book. It says he pulled the one punk rocker's spine out. Punk. I don't know if he's a punk rocker, but there's the three punks. One of them's Bill Paxton. He kills Bill Paxton some way, but then this other one, he pulls his spine out according to the book. Now, as far as the book goes further, on the first two Sarah Connors that the Terminator guns down in their homes, he cuts open their left legs after they post-mortem. He cuts their left leg open and he searches for something special. And little does this Terminator know, because of all these lost records from the war, that they don't have much information on the mother of John Connor. He's looking for something that won't even be found in the real Sarah Connor. It's a pin that would be placed in her leg after that piece of shrapnel gets buried in her calf during that scene where, unfortunately, Kyle Reese is killed because he blows the Terminator up with a pipe bomb. So she has a pin placed in her left leg as a result of that explosion from the pipe bomb. It's shrapnel gets stuck in her leg, and you remember the scene where she started to get up to go check on Kyle, and she screamed and just noticed that this piece of crap was in her leg, and she had to yank it out, and that hurt like hell. And when she goes to the hospital, they do surgery and place a pin in her leg to stabilize the bone or something like that. So even if the Terminator had succeeded in killing her early in the movie, and the movie would have ended or whatever, he wouldn't have found that pin. The pin would not have been there, because the pin was because of him, basically. So that's the further example of, how everything seems to be meant to be, paradox-wise, time travel-wise. But I just, the whole movie, I had no trouble. It was the age of Muppets in movies, so I always used to call that Terminator head the Terminator Muppet, because I knew it was fake, but when I first began to watch the movie, And I would watch it a lot after I first saw it. Me and my brother would just sit there for hours marveling at what an awesome movie it was. And I marveled at, I thought, wow, I know that's not Arnold, but didn't they do an awesome job recreating the hairline, the facial features, the shoulders? I mean, it was like this full upper torso Muppet. And I thought, this is really excellent work. And fuck, I mean, why are people bitching today just because it looks a little bit off? For 1984 and $6 million, that is incredible ingenuity. This piece of shit movie, The Lone Ranger, that was made in 1981 with this really bad actor in it, who never acted again because he was that bad an actor, and he used to pick fights in bars and stuff. That was made for like $18 million in 1981. So $6 million in 1984 was a low budget movie. And James Cameron just has that knack of squeezing every penny into doing it cleverly. And I hear people bitching about the stop motion endoskeleton after the skin and the human stuff is all burnt away. That stop motion is creepy as shit to me. I prefer that over CGI, especially lazy CGI that I've seen in a lot of movies lately. CGI is so commonplace now that it's just, to me, it's like, it doesn't boggle my mind anymore. The CGI in Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park boggled my mind. The practical effects in the original Total Recall and the practicals, along with the CGI, there was a mixture of practical effects and CGI in Total Recall from 1988 or 87 or 90 even. I don't remember, but it was really just state-of-the-art, brand new, just the dawn of the age of CGI. I loved it. And nowadays it's gotten to where by the time Lucas started CGIing all the original trilogy Star Wars, I was like, come on, you're making me barf. You're doing this because you want to make things even more beautiful, and you didn't have the budget, and we didn't have the technology in those years, and you're mad, and you want to make it now the way you always thought you should have to be able to do it then. And you've basically shit on all your movies, and you've made 3 new movies with so much CGI, especially in Attack of the Clones. There was so much CGI in that, I thought it was just a cartoon. It was so bad. Anyway, I said in my original 1999 IMDb review of The Terminator that I liked the lack of frills. And everything he makes, from Terminator to Terminator 2 to Aliens to The Abyss to Titanic, True Lies, they all seem to have such human characters in them, and such, it's not about the effects, it's not about the action, it's about the story and about the characters and about something. There's a desperation, and there's a story, and there's something that needs to be accomplished or protected for the sake of everybody. That's what I like. I like movies that ask questions of me. I like movies that respect me rather than pander to me. And The Terminator was probably the first movie that I saw a male hero not be a frickin' cigar chomping, tobacco chewing macho man who never cried. Kyle Reese, I think I fell head over heels for him because he was just this child soldier Sarah Connor was just this regular girl, college student, Reaganomics era kid who was living just a regular life, and she gets pulled away from that life in a microsecond, basically, and she has this gigantic, relentless man thing coming after her, and she's rescued by this child soldier. And I think a lot of people fell in love with Kyle Reese because he was such a different kind of hero. It was so unheard of to have a hero that wasn't a macho man like so many of the characters like Chuck Norris plays, or who's that? It's not Bruce Campbell. It's like, hey baby, I'm cool, man. I'm just not into macho. As somebody who's agender, I tend to pick people who have a little bit of both in them. And I love Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese because they are both badass bitches, and they're both tender-hearted, really. They're both very nurturing people, but they're both badass. Badass. The badassery meter is very high. That's why I love Mr. Spock, because there was such badassery from him in The Wrath of Khan when he sacrificed himself to save everybody on the ship. And yet he's a very, it's not true that Vulcans don't have emotion. They just try not to show emotion, but they have emotion. And they're very nurturing, caring people. So I like, as an agender person, an agender person to me is somebody who can be, I don't mean a totally emotionalist, no personality person. I mean somebody who is both nurturing and strong and able to handle themselves and take care of themselves. So, I think I fell in love with Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. And that's why I was never offended by any love scenes. A lot of the times with those Macho Man movies, with the macho heroes, and a lot of those superstar male action figure movies, they tend to use any female. Any female is usually used for the sex scene, and the nudity is very gratuitous, and there's really no other purpose for the woman in the movie. But I think as the years have gone by, then versus now, basically it's the same now as it was then, only I think I love it even more. I think I gave it 10 stars then, and I would give it 10 plus stars now if that was possible. I'd give it maybe 11 stars if I could. One thing I need to comment on. Arnold is an actor, and he is a good actor. But the thing about Arnold Schwarzenegger is, after the Terminator, he refused to play any other villains. And that is kind of what made him have the reputation that he has today. I mean, if he would have stretched out and taken risks, he would have had the more believable credibility as a movie star or an actor. He's basically just a movie star, celebrity, big shot Hollywood guy, but he's not what I call a thespian or an actor, because he doesn't want to be anything but a hero. So he's played himself over and over again. He's played the Terminator from T2 in basically every movie he's done since. When he played the Terminator in T1, he was actually acting. And he gave everybody says, well, you know, he's a shitty actor. That was the role he was born to play because he's a fucking robot and he doesn't say much. They don't give him much dialogue. I'm talking about the movements, the walk, the way he moves his eyes before he turns his head. It's like a scanning camera. It's a program, not a human being. Just the relentless way that he pursues the two prey animals. Like a cheetah goes after two gazelles or whatever. Two antelope, whatever they go after. It was just an amazing performance. It was a true acting performance by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was very amazed with that performance. I'd never really seen Conan. I'd never seen this comedy, a western that he was in. It was called The Villain. That was one of his very, very first Hollywood movies, was The Villain. It's a comedy movie. And he has a good comedy flair from time to time. I liked him in Junior. It was an amazing change of pace. It was a very silly premise. I mean, you can't attach a fetus to an intestine. What's it going to feed off of? Shit. But still, I thought it was a sweet movie because it changed a big macho, muscle-bound action hero, you know, actor. It changed his, you know, it was a cast against type thing. They could have put any man in that role, but they chose the most macho actor they could think of and said, look, we're going to make him pregnant, we're going to make him femmy, we're going to make him sweet and tearful-eyed. And I thought it was a cute movie just because it didn't have to be credible, it didn't have to be plausible, it didn't have to be, you know, believable for me. I thought it was a sweet movie, and I'll review it someday. Terminator 1 is just a classic. The 80s music, I love it. I love 80s music in general anyway. I love New Wave. And Brad Fiddel's score is amazing, as I've said before. So, anyway, I'm sorry if this sounds totally redundant to the other two videos I've done about the Terminator series. But this is a review of T1, for the record, and I give it 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 if I could. And I think it's great, and it's timeless, and it'll still be a classic forever and ever. And I think everybody should watch it, young and old. And it's 32 years old now, so yeah, it's definitely an American movie classic. So, or a Canadian American movie classic.